Welcome to Business Time. I am Melesha. Guess what? Today we will be looking at the Management of Business, SBA. It is a research paper of approximately 1,500 words on any topic covered in any one, two, or all three modules of the unit you are doing. So you will be required to demonstrate your skills in research, analysis, evaluation, and presentation of information. It is important to note that the 1,500 words excludes your appendix. Whatever it is that you have in your appendix, those words are not counted, okay? What you will be required to do is to do your research on a business, or you can simulate a business. Let's now look at the mark scheme to have a better understanding of what is required. All right, so the first section of the SBA is the introductory section. It consists of the topic statement and the aim of the project, and also the background of the project. And you'll realize that this section is worth 6 marks. Now, of course, your topic or your thesis statement should be concise and give clear direction to the project. So whatever topic you are interested in whichever module you may choose to do, it must be in the form of a statement. For example, an investigation used into the motivational strategies at Myton Services Limited and its impact on the workers. So right there, you can see that it's a clear statement. Yes, it's concise, and it gives very much a clear direction of what the research will be about. The next thing that you must ensure you do is that you create objectives, and you can have about 3 objectives. Let's see now if we can come up with some objectives for this topic. So we could have a first objective that says to identify the motivational strategies used at Myton Services Limited. A second objective could be to examine the impact of the motivational strategies on the workers at Myton Services Limited. A third objective could be to suggest to management ways to improve any deficiency in the motivational strategies noted at Myton Services Limited. The next thing that you'll be required to do is that there be justification for the topic. For the justification of the topic, you need to show how the project will contribute to a better understanding of business principles. So you could have about 2 to 3 reasons, why doing this topic is important. So you could indicate how you will benefit from doing this research, and also how the business will benefit from doing such a research. So if you do the topic section properly, that's 4 marks, okay? Now let's look at the background of the project. It says that the background makes reference to previous published related studies and bears relevance to present project. Now, it's very important that you take note of the part section that says previous published related studies. So you are now going to do some research on your topic and you're going to try to get some information from previous research or studies that were done, right? Make sure, so for example, let's say your topic is on motivation, then you can look at some other studies that were done on motivation, just give a general overview of what they are saying about what is motivation. Make sure that it is from a previous published study. And again, something that's extremely important, make sure that you cite all your sources, okay? Make sure that you state, and you can use APA format or whichever format your teacher has asked you to use, all right? But what is important, wherever you get your information from, you must acknowledge your source. At the next section now is the literature review, and that is 10 marks, and it's so important that you do this section well. Every mark counts. It's extremely important. Now, the first part in the lit review, it says literature review provides understanding and insight into the firm being studied. So for this section, you're going to write information about the business that you're looking at. And so in this case, we said that we're looking at Myton Services Limited. So we could look at things like, when did Myton Services Limited started, right? Get some information on the history of it. Who are the directors, how many departments they have, what kind of services or goods they offer, right? So in this section, we should get a pretty good idea of the business that you're doing your investigation on, right? It's 4 marks. So I would say perhaps, a 1 page would do the job. Try not to go beyond 1 page, because we have to remember that there is a word limit of 1,500 words. You can have a subheading for this section that is titled The Background of the Business. Now for the 2 last points. Literature review provides a thorough treatment of previously published related studies. Literature review makes reference to at least 2 secondary sources. No mention of the business you're investigating should be in these sections. Now, when you're doing your literature review, it is advised that you do so based on your objectives that will help to guide you. And it should be roughly about 3 to 4 pages. Try not to make it more than 4 pages and no less than 3 pages. You're going to research on all that you can to gather information on the topic that you are researching on. So like in our example, we're looking at motivational strategies. You would need to get information on the different types of motivational strategies that exist, how the motivational strategies impact workers. So you're going to look at it on a wide scale. What books, what is being said on the internet about it. Get all the information that you can. Even get information from previous research that's done on motivational strategies. And when you're writing it now, it is important that you write it in a nice way so that you can show contrasting information. For example, no, I'm just making up this one, okay? So for example, you could find somebody said that financial motivational strategies have a greater impact on workers. Then let's say, so let's say you find 2 contrasting sources. So let's say Perry P indicated that financial motivational strategies have a greater impact on workers. However, Price P disagrees and indicated that non-financial motivational strategies have a greater impact than financial strategies. So if when you're writing and you can find contrasting information and you must highlight those things, and even where sources are saying the same thing, you need to say that. Or you can just say, Perry indicated that financial motivational strategies have a great impact on workers. This was also supported by Reed, who highlighted that financial motivational strategies impact workers greatly. So in your writing, when you're doing your literature review, you want to let it flow nicely, like, you know, like you're telling a story, you're showing the contrast in the information, and you're showing the similarities in the information. You want it to flow nicely. And a good way to do the review too is that you can divide it up based on your objectives. So if the first objective, as in this first, in the example that I've given you, is for you to identify the motivational strategies, then you can, some persons would put a heading, the motivational strategies, and then they write on the different types of motivational strategies that exist. They can have a subtopic, another subtopic that talks about the impact of motivational strategies on workers, and you find as much information as you can on that. Okay, remember now, the lit review must have about 3 to 4 pages, so you need to try and get as much information as you can from secondary sources. Now, the next section of the SBA is the methodology. You realize you have 3 sections, and those 3 sections are equal to 6 marks. You must have your research design that should be well defined, your sample must be adequately described, and the research instrument accurately described. Now let's look at the research design. You must indicate whether you're using a qualitative or a quantitative approach, or you're using the mixed method, you know, that kind of thing. Make sure that you give definition for all of these. And of course, state the source again, because you are not the one who came up with a definition on your own, right? So make sure that your research design is well defined. When it comes to sample adequately described, it can help with you telling us about the sampling method that you use. Was it simple random sampling, systematic sampling? Whatever it is, you need to indicate. And also, you must describe your sample as well. For example, how many male and female answered your questionnaire, whatever it is that you used. What's their position in the business? Their age range and things like that. So you need to gather those kinds of information or demographic information on your sample. The research instrument accurately described. Now, whether you use the questionnaire or interview, it is important that you describe it, so you can tell, you know, give a definition for it, and also you can describe that specific instrument that you use. So for example, if you use a questionnaire, it is good that you describe like how many questions were on the questionnaire, how many open-ended questions or close-ended questions. So you must make sure that you give a very good description of your instrument that you used. Let's look at presentation of data. The presentation of data is 6 marks, and it has 3 sections. Data presented are relevant to the aims of the project. So of course, if you're going to present your data, it must be based on the aims of the project or your objectives. The thing is that your instrument, the questions for your instruments would have come from your objectives. So for example, if questions would have to be on the instrument, if, for example, we were trying to identify the motivational strategies. So a question could be like, what motivational strategies are used in the organization? List the following strategies that are used, and you could list the different types of financial strategies or non-financial strategies. So when you're presenting your data now, of course, it will definitely reflect the aims of the object of the project, because the questions on your instruments would come from that. All right, great. And data are accurately coded and systematically organized to facilitate data analysis. Data presented in an appropriate form using tables, charts, and graphs. I'm going to now show you, just a little example how it can look. So remember now, you can present your data in the form of a table, chart, or graph. Now, let's look at an example here. So let's say one of our questions was to identify the motivational strategies that are used at Miton Services Limited. We're going to present it using a column chart. Now, take note that you label your axis well. You see on the y-axis, it has the number of respondents. On the x-axis, you see the motivational strategies. Also, you can see clearly how many of the respondents indicated that the business uses financial motivational strategies, and how many indicated that the business uses non-financial motivational strategies, right? And you can see over here the key that will help you to interpret it. Financial motivational strategies. It says here that 7 of the respondents indicated that financial motivational strategies are used, and 3 indicated that non-financial motivational strategies are used. So you present your data, and it's important that you present the data on all relevant questions relating to the objectives. You're going to need them so that you can have a proper discussion, as we get more into the SBA. All right. So you will present the data on all the questions that you had on your instrument. And also, it's good you can have your topic, motivational strategies, and you label the diagrams, all right, whatever it is that you use. So in this case, we have figure 1, and when you're going to present another, you can say figure 2, that kind of thing. So let's look at the next section now, analysis of data, right? So, and that is 6 marks. The data are summarized accurately using descriptive statistics. Data summary is meaningful and related to findings. What some persons will do is that they can do the analysis by itself, or some persons will do it with the presentation of data. And I'm going to show you how you can do it with the presentation of data, or if you want, you just have the analysis on a page by itself. So here is the example that I showed you before. Now here is the analysis part. So you will have a heading, presentation and analysis of data, right? So that whoever is marking your SBA, they will see the presentation of data right here, right? And then they will see the analysis section right there. So we're saying, so you could write your analysis section like this. This column chart shows that 70% of respondents indicated that financial motivational strategies are used, and 30% indicated that non-financial strategy was used. So you use your percentages and so on to analyze your data. So there is a next section that is called the interpretation of results. And you must take note of this one. All right. This is 6 marks. It has 3 areas that are to be covered. It says interpretation of results is consistent with findings. Results are interpreted in light of business theories and concepts. And discussion of results incorporates previous research. Now, students tend to not really get this section, and so it's important that you can follow and you understand. Now, it's more than just analyzing the data now. So you are now going to have to indicate now your understanding of the results that you're seeing and what your analysis is saying to you. No, it's not just saying that, okay, from the results indicate that mostly financial motivational strategies are used in Myton Services Limited, but no, you're going to interpret this result now by looking at some theories and concepts, right? So you're going to know, could say, you know, what are some common financial strategies that are used, you know, and depending on your topic, what theories, there any theory or, you know, concepts, you know, that you can pull from and include it to support your findings or to even contradict what your findings, you know, are saying. Also, you must also incorporate previous research. So try your best in your interpretation of results here to make reference to some research that somebody else has done and indicate whether it supports your findings right now or it contradicts your finding. For you to get 2 marks, look at it, it's 2 marks, you know, for incorporating in the interpretation of the results some business theory or concept, and also an additional 2 marks for incorporating something from a previous research. So you have to spend the time to do your necessary research and include these things, right? You cannot afford to lose 4 marks if you don't. So don't just interpret your findings, and then when your teacher did not see you mention anything about any concept, you know, linking to your findings or some theories that you could connect to your findings. So make sure that you include all of this. It's going to take you doing some detailed research, but it can be done. You just need to find the time to just do it. One more thing, when you're interpreting the result, interpretation, the first point there where it says interpretation of result is consistent with findings, because you don't want where your results are showing that majority indicated that it's the financial motivational strategy that's used, and then in your discussion you're going to say that it's mostly non-financial motivational strategies that are used. Guess what? You're going to lose marks, or you're not going to get a mark for it. So you have to make sure that what you're interpreting is the correct thing and that it is in alignment with what's in the findings, okay? So let's look at the next section, conclusions and recommendations. It says conclusions are logical and based on findings. No, you cannot conclude something that is not at all linked to your findings. So your findings are what will tell you what you are to conclude. So for example, if you, from everything that was done, the results showed that, hey, it's mostly financial motivational strategies that are used. And so you can only conclude that the business mostly use the financial motivational strategy, right? So you have to just ensure that you present your data properly, you analyze the data properly so that you can make a proper conclusion. Because anything that you conclude, it must be traced back to your findings. Now, when it comes to recommendations, they must be realistic and informed again by your findings. Recommendations contribute to a better understanding of a topic and the general business principles. So let's say from this research, this example that we've been using, it was found that yes, in the business, it's mostly financial motivational strategy that's used, but then it was found out that it does not have a great impact on the workers. It does not motivate the workers. Then now you can recommend that the business incorporate or use more non-financial motivational strategies to get the workers to be more motivated, right? So your recommendation must be linked to the findings. Let's look at the next section. It says communication of information in a logical way, consistently use correct spelling, consistently use correct grammar, and your expression of ideas must be clear and unambiguous. No, it's always good to have somebody, look over your work. If that's not possible, well, read through your thing more than once, because sometimes we do easily make errors, spelling errors, little grammatical errors. So you just want to just make sure that you review your work several times if possible, all right, just to make sure that you get all of these 6 marks. The next section is references and citations. So acknowledges sources throughout the project, you get 1 mark for that. You remember when I was telling you each section that you go through, you must state the source. That's important. That's 1 mark. You cannot afford to lose that 1 mark, okay? Bibliography for publications written in alphabetical order and includes names of authors, publishers, and dates of publication. Also, bibliography for internet sites includes address of website, names of authors or organization, and date of access or retrieval. I am now going to show you an example. And if you use the APA format, you're good to go. Let's now look at the bibliography. If you use the APA format, you cannot go wrong. So make sure that it's in alphabetical order as is. So you see A comes before C, then you have F. So you see the author's name and the date that the work was published. Good. And also for sources that you got on the internet, you must have the retrieval date. See, they're asking for date of access and retrieval. So there you can put retrieved November, for example, November 20, 2019, and you put the website. Okay? Let's look at the final section, overall presentation of report. And that's a total of 5 marks. So the report is within the recommended word limit. So remember, the word limit is 1,500 words, excluding what is in the appendix. The layout of the report follows correct format and includes a table of contents and cover page with relevant information. So of course, make sure that you have your table of contents and also have a cover page, that has the relevant information, including your name, your registration number, your school, things like that. And of course, your teacher will give you more information. And the report is to be neat, legible, and coherent. So we should be able to understand your report. So just make sure that you follow the mark scheme and you line up your your SBA in the same way that it is in the mark scheme, and that it is neat, and you will be good. And the total marks for the SBA is 60. Okay, so work to not get less than 50 marks. You can do it. I know you can. All right, that is it for the Management of Business SBA. Hope you learned something. See you next time.